Hello, how you doing?
Awkward, but I'm alright.
So I've dragged you in it. Oh look, let's play this because we thought we were going to have a nice bit of background stuff going on. Yeah, so we recorded this little funky sausage of a movie last week.
That was last week.
Was it?
Was it last week?
Was it week? I don't know.
I don't remember.
Lost all track of time. But so anyway, with our genius combined, we came up with an incredible entry for this competition that we're doing.
Yeah.
So I love it. What I wanted to do as well is we often have a few chats about different things. I wanted to have an open discussion with you. Problem is we had about 10 minutes of it the other day without filming it, and we probably wasted all the best chat.
I don't remember what we said to
See, I don't either. So basically, please introduce yourself.
Like how? Just like talk?
Yeah, well no, just say this. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Luka. I am 16, which feels really weird to say because I've been 16 for a week, but I go by they, them pronouns, and I don't identify as any particular gender, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so when we had a chat the other day, was it yesterday? I don't know.
It was yesterday.
There's so much going on in Underdog Crew studios, whatever.
Yeah.
What I've always said to you, and I've never meant this in a patronising way. I admire your courage and bravery, and that shouldn't even be a conversation we're having in this day and age. And I think we very quickly touched on yesterday on one of your kind of worst situations that you asked you kind of being so non-binary, is it or trans? How do you kind of?
I say trans because it's an umbrella term. I just say whichever's easiest, like get a person to get it.
So trans is just trans now, yeah?
It's transgender now, but people just say trans for short.
I've always said to you, I always tend to apologise to you in advance if I ever say anything wrong because I'm old school.
Yeah.
But I think we or you know when something comes from love or something comes from wanting to stick a pin in your side to piss you off.
Yeah, I know. Like if somebody were to use like the word transvestite, I don't really care. It's just the only context I've ever really heard it used is like a horror picture show. So.
So, obviously we've talked about your autism as well, and your interview that we've done was to do with being both trans and autistic, because I presume they probably neither particularly help each other, or maybe some of them work well.
No, it's really weird because like statistically autistic people are actually more likely to be trans, but because of how like our brains uniquely interact with gender. But the problem is it handicaps me a lot in life, which is like a weird statement. But like as a disabled person, it feels weird to say, but it does because everybody hates me basically.
Well, funny enough, here we kind of all like you because you're interesting character. See, I'll touch on that. I take offence with being called disabled.
Yeah.
Because to me, disabled means can't do.
I mean, you only can't do it because it's just how inherently society is structured. You're not disabled, that's not your fault.
But then I suppose I'm disabled to do the London Marathon. That's what I'm disabled to run.
I couldn't either, don't worry.
I'm disabled to run to the shop and back.
Yeah.
So basically, obviously, how long have we known each other now? 8 weeks?
About 8 weeks.
It's crazy. I feel like I've known you for so long.
It feels like it's been years, but it hasn't. It's been like it's been like a month.
Yeah.
It's been like a month.
Luke is really talented artist. You're totally into like your Final Fantasy. I got my numbers right. Final Fantasy 14.
Yes.
Yeah. See, I do listen. Yeah, few. Or maybe I've got good notes.
Yeah.
So, what is the average week in Luka's life, as you are today, as both trans and autistic? How does your average week pan out with regards to any marginalisation or misunderstanding or spite?
To be fair, it's not actually been as common recently. That's because I just don't talk to anyone. But I don't get it as often as I used to anymore because I just don't talk to anybody at school. They ignore me, I ignore them. Who gives a shit? But because I'm just trying to get through my year like everybody else at this point. We're all tired, we're all burnt out, because obviously I was in year 7 when the pandemic started, so we've been fucked over since the start basically. And we're more or less just like trucking at the moment. I guess that's the way to put it. It's not been as bad recently. I don't get it as often as I used to. Back when I first came out, it was brutal, but now it's just like anything else.
So, life goals. What are your life goals?
I want to be an illustrator, which like specifically I want to go into like character design or like environment design, costume design for like games or like TV programs.
Okay.
Because I think that's really fun. I like doing that. Because ever since I was younger, because obviously I'm a big gamer. Ever since I was younger, I favoured playing games with like character creators because I like to dress up. I like playing dress up. For Final Fantasy 14, I'm not doing like dungeons. I'm just my glorified dress up game.
So I'm pausing that. We're going to do a really epic cosplay photo shoot with Luka soon, with our special effects MUA makeup artist coming down, and we're going to go to town and we're going to do some really cool shit.
What, like to town or like as in the
No, in here. Yeah, no, in here, in the studio.
Okay.
And it's going to be like a video shoot, a photo shoot with you, and we're going to put some. You said I want pixie ears, didn't you?
I just want like pointy ears.
Yeah, so we'll do pointy ears, and but I found some really cool ears, but
I saw them.
But they got kind of gills on them.
Yeah, they're cool. I like those. But yeah, I also do cosplaying, but like. I like just dressing up and sort of like I'm not in my best outfit today. That's because I couldn't be asked. But I love dressing up and I love sort of like expressing that, and I love sort of being able to express like characters' personalities through the designs, like outfits and colours and stuff. I think that's really fun. So I've been improving my art a lot, especially in the last couple of months. Because my art was like shit a few months ago. I don't know what happened, but I've been rapidly progressing. So I'm currently trying to get into Colchester Institute on their illustration and animation course.
I don't see why that can't happen. We know people who know people who know people, but I think you'll get on there in your own merit anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
really
building my portfolio is like pretty stacked now, so I think I've stand a decent chance.
So, do you find that cosplay gives you comfort because it kind of allows you to express yourself exactly the right way you want to without any fear of judgment? Or is it just you love cosplay?
I like dressing up. I like the concept of pretending to be someone else. Like I just think it's fun, honestly. Because my most recent cosplay was my Final Fantasy 14 character. Funnily enough, I was cosplaying as her for CooperCon, which is a Final Fantasy fan event a few weeks back, and I just like the idea of pretending to be a bunny. As a trans person, I often find myself alienated from my peers. It's especially hard to fit in when I identify outside the two typical tick boxes of gender. I am neither male nor female, and I don't think I'd ever want to be. For as long as I can remember, I've been playing video games. They're a major part of my life that I don't think I could live without at this point, and I love immersing myself into these fantastical worlds and going on adventures surrounded by characters who make me feel as though I have the friends I lack in real life. The MMO I spend the most time playing is Final Fantasy 14, and while I greatly enjoy my time playing, I feel frustrated by the game's very binary gender restrictions. Lots of games suffer from this, unfortunately, and it can sometimes make me feel othered compared to other players outside of my group. It's also why I very rarely ever play as myself in games where you can make your own hero. What I can't express through games, I express through art and my appearance. I've recently reignited my passion for drawing through a desire to see more characters like me in the sorts of media I enjoy. That's another true escape of mine, you see. I'm autistic, so I struggle with social cues and general face-to-face interaction, and my inability to socialise only worsened after the pandemic. But I found solace in MMOs, my true form of escape. I draw anything from my own characters to small doodles and comics. It's a very healing and very rewarding process. I hope that one day someone will be able to look at my work and think, hey, that's me, and find their true escape from this world with my own work. Because in my own little worlds, I can do or be whatever I want.